Laurie-Ann knows her stuff, like totally transformed the way that I've been running the speaking end of my business. It's completely changed my mindset about getting gigs. Oh my goodness, things took off like crazy. You taught me how to go out and actually get the gigs and get the gigs booked. It gave me this sense of ease and competency and this satisfaction and this assurance that now I know how to make this happen. And that confidence has improved my ability to sleep through the night. Marianne is so positive and so supportive. When you work with her, you feel like you've got her in your hip pocket. There's always this voice of encouragement that you can reach out for and just check, am I on the right track? And then when the results start to roll in, at least 300%. I mean, it's totally revolutionized everything. It's so much fun to get in front of a crowd of people and share who you are and share what you do. You do your thing. It's so much fun. And then afterwards, they all want to buy things from you. And then I get paid to speak quite well. And then I make my speaking fee and more selling my product.
Write with the end in mind. This is what we're going to be talking about. And this is the exact way that I write all of my speeches and how I've written both of my Amazon best-selling books, Rethink Leadership and Rethink Your Leadership. And I'm going to share that with you today. Hey, if you are new around here, I'm Laurie-Ann, and this podcast is all about how to leverage speaking events, how to leverage the stage as your best form of marketing to showcase your expertise. So grab something to either write or type some notes in because we are talking about book writing this month during this special summer series. Hey, quick question. What if you didn't have to figure out this whole visibility and speaking thing on your own? Inside my In Demand, the membership, you get support, strategy, and shortcuts to help you grow your business with speaking without ever overthinking every word or waiting for someone to pick you. We're talking live calls, trainings, and coaching, and a vault of resources, whether you're just getting started or you've already landed some stages and have bookings on your calendar. If you want more visibility, more confidence, and more clients, but you want it to feel simple and doable, then come join us inside In Demand, the membership. Just head on over to speakandstandout.com/IND, and that link is also down below because being visible shouldn't be the hardest part of growing your business. So what do I mean by write with the end in mind? This is the exact way that I've written all of my speeches, is to know where are you ending up? This is just like whenever you type into your GPS, whether it's on your phone or inside your car, you're putting a final destination in so that the GPS system can give you a few options. Hopefully, it gives you a few options, and sometimes it only gives you one option. But here's the way to get from point A to point B. So with your book, with your speech, you've got to know where is point B, because point A is the beginning of the book. And point B is when they are finished reading. So both of my books are parables. And the funny thing about both of these parables is I wrote the last chapter first. And this is something that for some reason, I like to write the last paragraph. As a matter of fact, my last email, the very informative email that goes out on Thursdays, I have a tendency to write the last bit and then start at the top. But it's almost like I know where I want to end up. And with both of my books, I wrote the final chapter, even though I'm going to share with you that last chapter might have had some edits. And in writing a story format, the last chapter is still part of the story. So it just gives me a place of, here's where I want this book to end up. I'm going to tell you how I then create like what needs to be in the book. But before I do that, I want to explain to you why both of my books are parables. And the first book actually is non-gender. I was a little before my time, as a matter of fact. It's non-gender because it was originally a he-she. The mentor was a male and the mentee was a female. My sister was working for a regional president and vice president of a very large insurance company. And I asked her, would she share with her boss the book that I was writing? By this time, my sister had been working with them for an extended period of time, and he also knew me. He'd met me a couple of times. So my sister shares the book with him, and he says, well, I would read it for a woman's perspective, but I don't think that I would do anything with it. I wouldn't take the advice. I took that answer and did some research. And I found out that actually that is very typical of men. A man will read a book written by a woman and be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's a female's perspective, but not necessarily do anything with the information. On the other hand, a woman will read a book written by a man and actually take the advice and apply it. So that was the reason why it became a non-gender book. And it wasn't easy to make the book non-gender, but I knew that the characters would become who the reader needed them to be. And a lot of times people assumed that I was the coach, I was the mentor, or I was the mentee. They were like, did this really happen to you? I was like, it's a completely fictional story. It does take place in a coffee shop because when I was working in corporate, you go to the same coffee shop, you see the same people because they have their morning habits and routines. Now, my second book, again, is a parable, but this time the characters have names. There's men, there's women, and different people play a different role in the mentor and the mentee's life. But both of these books, I wrote the last chapter first. And then I asked myself, in order for this to happen, in order for the book to get to this place, what needs to be in the book so that the reader is never guessing, never wondering, why did she drop this? Why wasn't this ever mentioned? How did this happen? And for my first book, that's how I came up with the 4 lessons. It was, here's the title. I wrote the ending chapter. And so now it was like, okay, there are 4 lessons that have to be in here. What are those 4 lessons? And then I wrote each chapter the exact same way. And here's the big question that I want you to ask yourself, because this is the big question that I asked myself. When the reader is done reading this book and they close it for the final time, what do you want them to think differently? What do you want them to do? What do you want them to believe? What do you want them to understand? Write that goal down, because now you also know what needs to be in the book. This is writing with the end in mind. So now you come up with what needs to be in the book and what chapters need to be in there. And the exact same question you should be asking yourself with each chapter. Here's what this chapter is about. Well, when the reader is done reading this chapter or listening on Audible, what do you want them to do differently? What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to understand? So now you know what needs to be in that chapter. And this is literally how I have written both of my books and encouraged all of my clients who have written books to write them exactly the same way. You're putting yourself in the shoes of your reader, but also with the GPS system. You already know where you want to end up. You already know where you're starting from. How do we get there? How do we get from point A to point B? So write the right book and also write with the end in mind. And I also want to encourage you to think about your thought leadership. What is it that you want to be known for? What do you want to be talking about? Because that's the other thing about writing a book as a coach, a consultant, because you're speaking to showcase your business. What do you want people to know about you? Think about this as like your book is your legacy. Somebody might find your book on Amazon before they ever find you and your website and your information and your programs. This could be that first introduction to you. So I want you to take that into consideration as you are writing this book, as you outline this book. But also just imagine that you have written a book. This is something that so many people say that they want to do, and very few people actually do it. But not you, because you're the kind of person who sets their mind on something and you do the thing. Is it going to be hard? Maybe. There might be some times that are hard. One of the things that came up for me constantly was I'm a terrible writer. I struggled with writing when I was in high school. College, yeah, I just had to write some, like scientific papers about exercise and whatever else I was correlating it with, doing a little bit of research. As a matter of fact, I started writing my very first newsletter while I was in college when I was running a cardiac rehab program. But those memories about being a struggling student trying to write came back up for me. But you know what? Back in high school, back in elementary school, when I was first starting to write, it's not like those teachers were really encouraging how to write. It's just like, here's what you need to do. We need 3 paragraphs. And each paragraph had to have at least 3 sentences in it. And a sentence couldn't be run on, blah, blah, blah. Now it's just like writing is a form of creativity. So I so enjoy writing my newsletter to my email list. I've enjoyed writing the books that I've written, but I will be coming out with a book, which also leads me to something that I'm going to talk about in a future episode on this summer series, and that is about taking your readers on the journey with you. So more about that when I dive actually into it. Here's your assignment for this week is write that last chapter. Go back to last week. I hope that you did the assignment, which was to brainstorm different books. You circled 5. You picked one to actually brainstorm some ideas on. Go back to that. Write that last chapter. Are you going to write a parable? Are you going to write a more of a how-to book? You decide. But write that last chapter. Doesn't have to be long. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to write a long book. Both of my books are around 100 to 110 pages. They are 5x8s, which is the average size. And the reason why I picked a 5x8 is because it easily fits in a briefcase or a woman's purse. And if you have any questions about how to write the right book or how to write with the end in mind, or maybe even like what needs to be included, book a speaker success call with me. Let's talk about your book and how it works in conjunction with your business, how we can make your book a client lead magnet. So that link is down below, because sometimes having a second set of ears or a second set of eyes on your book idea or your outline is exactly what you need. So until next week, I want you to be in demand.